In our eagerness to rid our nervous system of trauma, we often try hacks or techniques that promise fast results. This channel is Meditation Amsterdam. My name is Pablo, and today we get to talk about what may happen if we trigger trauma too quickly for the sake of healing, and what are some of the things that we can do to avoid negative consequences of doing this. You may remember a scene in the movie Batman Begins where Bruce Wayne is sword training on a frozen lake before he becomes Batman. And he seems to have pulled a move that puts his teacher into submission. And the teacher says, "You haven't beaten me. You have sacrificed sure footing for a killing stroke." And then he taps the ice on top of which Bruce Wayne is standing with his sword, and Bruce Wayne sinks into the icy waters. And this is reminiscent of what can happen when we accelerate our healing journey, whether it is for regular self-cultivation or actual trauma resolution, beyond our ability to ground and integrate. The way I'd like to see the process is one in which we do integrative practices on a daily basis for a sustained period of time, and that creates the openness and the room for resolution to take place in those areas. And that resolution tends to bubble up naturally the more grounded and the more integrated we become. It is as if the nervous system knows that it can suddenly release certain things that did not feel safe to release previously. It is also safe to say that those integrative practices create broader bandwidth for the nervous system to move certain stored energies through, and that creates a natural cathartic release of things that we no longer need to repress or suppress. But what happens if we somehow go the other way around and we go for opening and resolution, and what we do overtakes our level of integration and grounding and our ability to self-regulate? In that case, we create a bit of a gap. That gap may be small, it may be very large, and it may be there for a while before we manage to integrate what just happened. There are many modalities nowadays that offer to give you very fast results, such as the use of psychedelics and some rather aggressive energetic therapies, and perhaps some rather aggressive breathwork techniques. And what I would suggest is always to bank on the grounding, integration, and self-regulation path as being your bread and butter. It is not to say that you cannot or should not use techniques to accelerate the opening so that a release can happen and so that your levels of stress and suffering can be reduced. But we need to think of those as supplements for someone who's going to the gym, for example. So the supplement is definitely going to make a difference, but really the bread and butter is the daily training and strengthening of your tissues, your cardiovascular system. You can allow your muscles and your joints to get stronger. If you suddenly start to take a supplement that makes your muscles incredibly strong in a very short period of time, your joints are very likely to suffer. This is something that happens very often to runners, people who start running. Muscles grow stronger very fast, so you start running much more and much faster, but your joints take a very, very long time to get used to that level of stress. so you get joint issues. And we can take that analogy, though it's not perfect, to our nervous system. We want to make sure that whenever we create an opening, that we have grown a capacity to self-regulate and to integrate those new levels of energy and awareness and the new input that's coming into our consciousness, so that we don't spin off into a place that is perhaps depersonalized, or in a place that feels just too stressful and unstable. Of course, we are ambitious in our journey. We want to perhaps fly a bit closer to the edge if we feel that we can manage that. And we need to learn from our mistakes as well. Sometimes we're not doing enough on the pushing the envelope and making ourselves uncomfortable to grow and resolve things. Sometimes we may go too far and we spend a certain period of time destabilized, and it'll take us a bit of catching up to do for our regulation and our integration to bring us back to baseline. And only you can decide what this is like for yourself. Your life situation may also present challenges in how much risk you can take in these things. If you're a householder who provides for a family, you don't want to take massive risks in doing some of these things, lest they destabilize your ability to deal with your kids and deal with your job, for example. And yet at the same time, your trauma may be seriously hampering these areas of life already, in which case maybe you do have an incentive to resolve things. And so this is going to be a dance all the way through. And the video is simply an attempt to make us aware that these two elements are there, always playing a role. They are, of course, equally important. And if you don't feel the need to do any big resolution of things, then you can simply keep doing your self-cultivation for a long time. That will create a great amount of benefits for you without the need to do practices or follow modalities that might be aggressive, risky, or where you really don't see any need for them. So that's the general thought for today's video. And I'm very curious about your thoughts, so do share them in the comment section. As usual, if you think that these are topics from which other people might benefit, then your liking, sharing, and subscribing make the channel far more visible to others, and it's also very motivating to myself. And I'll be back with more videos pretty soon. Until then, cheerio, and bye-bye.